those who don't know me, I'm James Wilkins. I'm your MC, and we have a great lineup of speakers for you, so enjoy them and learn a bit more about the school. It'll be great. Is everyone here? Is everyone happy with their voice? Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to all our returning old pupils, old staff members, PTA, Board of Trustees members, to our worship the Mayor and his wife Carol, very weather here, Councillors Kevin Marsh and John Scrimmager. Also a welcome to all of our school's current staff, current PTA, current Board of Trustees and pupils, parents, etc. I'm positive you all today have enjoyed the opportunity to have a good look around the school. You're probably like me, you're a bit amazed at the changes that have occurred here. It's quite incredible. Just while I'm here, I'd just like to make a really special mention to Blake, Dennis and Red. And they're the staff who look after the grounds and get everything in order, and what a sensational job they've done. Well done. Thank you guys. Probably noticed not only the the great facilities that the school has, it's probably you've looked at all the changing learning techniques and the tools for the children that are now here. What a lot's been achieved in 125 years. This afternoon, the speakers, I'm sure, will certainly inform you about what has happened at Pongakawa, what is planned, what it means to be part of the school community. I'll now call on Bridget Crawford, our current Board of Trustees chairperson, to speak. Bridget typifies the impact the school has on people. Bridget is a past pupil and so enjoyed her time at Pongakawa that it was a real priority for her to make sure her children were educated here. That they enjoyed the same experiences as she did. So after 25 years away, Bridget and husband Matt moved back here to make sure their children came to Pongakawa. Welcome, Bridget, and look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you, James, for those very, very kind words. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I extend James's welcome to you today and at this very, very special milestone in Pongakawa School's history. Today we celebrate 125 years of education, opportunities and people connecting with people. On the 22nd of February 1892, Pongakawa School began. 17 students, although records do say 18, but there's 17 in the original enrolment book that we have found and has been restored. So there's 17 students and one teacher, Miss Gillibrand. This is a far cry from what our school looks like today. We have over 300 students and over 25 staff. And as I said in my welcome note in the program, I wonder what our school will look like in 125 years' time. It will be 2142. The mind can only imagine. The board, along with our dynamic principal, Craig Haggo, continue to develop the campus to ensure that we always deliver education well above the national average. This block here, the Action Centre, where we will be tonight, is testament to that, and we've got another building project underway too. This is the building project to modernise the main blocks, room 1 to 3, which will start later on this year, and that's something that you can look forward to seeing when you next visit. James has mentioned about the special place Pongakawa is and the draw that it has on people. And I just want to extend on that for a little moment. It just seems that Pongakawa touches people in a very unique way. Our eldest person here today is 98 years old. Wow. This is someone who didn't actually come to Pongakawa School. They have a very special connection with this district though, as all of their family have. And it's Nettie Bentley, nee Tunnicliffe, and she's here on my left. We welcome you back, Niti, and we are very humbled that you are here, that the Pongakawa has drawn you back here for this special celebration. It's funny because I've been listening to the children and their excitement about the day's activities and celebrations, and I've heard 3 or 4 children doing the maths on how old they're going to be when the school turns 200. So these kids are already planning to be part of this celebration, wherever they may be living at that time. Pongakawa School will hold its own special memories for you, and I hope that you have had the chance to share some of these already, and that you will continue to share more tonight. Before I close off, I'd like to acknowledge the many hours of hard work that the Jubilee Committee have put into making this event what it is. Meetings started over a year ago, and at that time it was hard to believe how it was all going to come together. But in true Pongakawa spirit, they have delivered. I hope you're enjoying the event so far, but I just want you to acknowledge the committee. Thank you. We've had very strict instructions from Mrs. P not to go on over 3 minutes. So I'm going to close off there before I get into trouble and hand back over to James. But thank you very much, and I hope you continue to enjoy the weekend.
Great, thank you, Bridget. Yes, just reinforcing what a special place Pongakawa is, and certainly quite impressive because look at the lineup here. We have people that are 90 or about to hit 90, so well done. I'd now like to welcome I now ask Craig to come forward, Craig Haggo. Now Craig's the school's current principal. Craig came to Pongakawa in the middle of the year 2000 and is 17 years here to date. He has grown the role from 207 to 315 today. The great learning and sporting facilities that we have here are a real credit to Craig's leadership. Craig had the vision early on to embrace the tomorrow school's opportunities. This has allowed this school, Pongakawa, to be far more self-managed and independent from other schools. This has allowed us to break free from the Wellington bureaucracy. And this is a testament to Craig, his vision to see these things come through. This, coupled with Craig's ability to attract funding from all areas of the community, all types of government agencies, has built on the solid foundation of previous generations to get Pongakawa to what you see today. Welcome up, Craig, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Thanks, James, for those kind words. I'll take the praise wherever I get it, although, I just think I've probably been in the right place at the right time, and maybe had a few of the right ideas, but I make a point of surrounding myself with the right sort of people, and Pongakawa are the right sort of people as far as I'm concerned. It's a nice lectern, isn't it? Vince likes a lectern. Francis doesn't like a lectern. But we've got a lectern. I'll probably go over 3 minutes. Bridge had a lectern, so we'll probably nip out the back way so as we avoid her at the end of this. So if you don't see us for a few hours, it's not because we've run away together, it's because we've gone and hidden, in case Mrs. P tells us off. Right, thank you, James, for the introduction, and a huge thank you to all the committee and to all those who have contributed in any way to making this weekend possible. Most of all, a huge thanks to all of you for coming along to celebrate the birthday of your old primary school. I was a young man when I came here, and now I am moderately old. Yeah. My own children are just toddlers, but are now in their first and second years of university, and my wife still found my sense of humour funny rather than a tad predictable. 17 years at the end of term 2 and they seem to have passed in a flash, but then Pongakawa is that sort of place. Once you are here, mostly you don't want to leave. I'm sure Mrs. P would agree with that sentiment. My time here, though, is just a blip in the life of this wonderful school, and history shows, and will continue to show in the future, that an education at Pongakawa is one of the best ways to begin your learning journey. Whether you go on to be an academic, a sporting star, a musician, or someone involved with the arts, whether a trade calls you or any other variety of life options that crop up, people who come to this school grow up to be great New Zealanders and fine examples of everything that exemplifies a bloody good Kiwi. No doubt for many of you, there has been some time since you last set foot on the ground. This is bloody good actually. And it's not because I had much to drink last night, because I had to drive all the way back to Tauranga, so I sat there and stayed sober, which was fantastic. And quite a lot of fun actually watching it. Anyway, I digress. No doubt for many of you, it has been some time since you last set foot on the grounds of your old school. As you drove round the corner, or perhaps checked out images provided for us by good old Uncle Google or your Facebook friends, there will have been memories flooding back. The oak trees, of course, and some of the older buildings. There have been a number of changes in recent years, and these began happening pretty soon as tomorrow's schools came into being way back in the late 80s. I recall arriving at Pongakawa and being mightily impressed by the large swimming pool and the extensive grounds, and thinking how important that space would be in the future. As a principal, we're really the guardians of the history, culture and feel a school has. However, if that was all we did, then things would fall rapidly apart. We must make sure each and every child who enters to learn gets the very best of educational opportunities possible and leaves ready to serve in whatever way they can. They must also believe in themselves and know they can and will make a meaningful contribution in the future. To do this, students need to know where they're at, where to next, and most importantly, why. The buzzword for this is having learner agency. Actually, it is about becoming independent and responsible for ourselves and our actions as we grow up. These qualities you find in bucket loads at Pongakawa, but across this country of ours, I'm not so sure anymore. I'm apparently someone who enjoys a good project, particularly if it involves building, and I guess to some degree that is accurate, as there's certainly been a reasonable amount of building work over the last 17 years of my tenure. Building for building's sake, however, amounts to little more than monument making, and New Zealand schools are littered with these. In my mind, the question we need to ask before beginning something is this: how will what we do improve learning opportunities for students? Naturally, if the answer is unknown or debatable, then time, energy and finance can be better spent elsewhere, and it should be. Building work does serve also as a vehicle to galvanise a community into action, to bring us together. And Tech Pongakawa, the Action Centre, is a perfect example of this. In 2012, Pongakawa raised the most money of any school in New Zealand, bar none, with more than $1.1 million generated in 1 year. This included more than $150,000 of locally raised funds, which is a marvellous effort. We created a building debt-free for $1.8 million, which now has a build value of more than double this. It also redefined how the Ministry of Education approved what is known as beacon building projects. Like our centre, there must be a sound business case, clearly defined outcomes for students, and the taxpayer must not be left to pay for ongoing shortfalls. People ask me if this building is the one that has given me the most joy to see as a principal, and I guess it is pretty amazing. Many of my principal colleagues laughed a lot and loud when I said this is what we hope to achieve. It was funny once it was built, having some of them ask me how they could build one at their school. After all, if we could do it at Pongakawa, it must be easy, right? Yeah, nah. As a teacher at heart, though, my preference is for those projects involving classroom development, because that is where students and staff spend the majority of their time. The senior block is especially pleasing, as we were only one of 6 schools in New Zealand to be selected to be part of a concept called the Learning Studio Pilot, and the only one not in a major urban centre. All modern learning environments built since its construction have used knowledge created by the work of the schools involved. These blocks will stand as a testimony to what might have been, as a change in government led to a decision that to build to this standard would cost far more than originally thought, and the bar was lowered. This is probably the only classroom block in the Bay of Plenty that has underfloor heating, by the way, which is really interesting. And it's built with 6x2 walls, it's Green Star rated, goodness knows what else, and they can't afford to do it anymore. We are nearly at the construction phase of our next modern learning space, and this will see the oldest block gutted and rebuilt in a more flexible way. For those of you who are traditionalists, and there's a few, though the outside of the building will remain and look largely the same, and we are even exposing some features hidden from view since the day it was built. The lovely handmade rafters are an example of this. And images of the new build are sitting around the office area at the moment, I think, and so you'll be pretty amazed, I think. There are many changes I could speak of, including the way we now undertake senior technology at school. You might know this as manual. The availability of music and school time, dance, gymnastics and even squash. But time does not allow me to elaborate. Mrs. P will be watching. The basics are still very much part of Pongakawa, the 3 R's if you like. National standards brought this more clearly into focus for our country, but it was nothing new to Pongakawa. At the end of 2016, every Year 8 student leaving Pongakawa to go on to high school was reading at or above age. This was the personal promise I made to parents on their first visit as little 5-year-olds. And it's especially amazing when you consider that we farewelled 48 Year 8s last year, and only 12 of them began their time at Pongakawa as 5-year-olds. And so we still, no matter the length of time they were here, managed to deliver that result for their family. Our national standards at the end of 2016 across our school were reading 93%, writing 86%, mathematics 87%. This is some 20 or more % above the national average for this country, as well as the Bay of Plenty, and well above Te Puke results. Our aim is to be above 90% in all 3 areas within the next 3 years, and I'm confident we can achieve this. Staff is the backbone of any great school, and I can tell you at this school we have some of the very best. Applicants who apply to work here are told the hard part is getting a job because the expectations will be so high. Once here though, as I've mentioned, very few want to leave in a hurry, and many have been here as long or longer than I have, including Kim Jensen, Bronwyn Clark, Blake Stevens, the wonderful Bev Hurst, and of course Francis Patiti. I would like to thank all those who work and have worked at Pongakawa over the years for your huge contribution. You may never know the difference you have made in so many lives. Additionally, I've worked with outstanding boards of trustees and fantastic PTAs. The commitment of these groups to making our school a better place is huge. Never is a task too big, a job too small. They just opt in and make it happen. But should we be surprised? It is Pongakawa after all. What of the future? There's no doubt in my mind this school will continue to flourish, and in another 25 years people will return and gather once more to catch up and celebrate their second home. It will be a safe assumption that I will have long since moved on, but hopefully not to the other side of the rose garden, so I too can come and catch up with people. The impact of the Eastern Arterial route created change literally overnight for this area. Several times a week we have people dropping in, searching for property, asking us for a heads up on anything likely to be for sale. It will be important for the school and various stakeholder groups to work closely with Western Bay District Council with the aim of unlocking land for development, but in a planned and considered way. There is an incredible opportunity with the skill and passion of our community to develop Pongakawa Village as a hub for the area, and with the school and its facilities at its heart, we are already on the way. This is an incredible school and will continue to be so for generations to come. Be sure you stay closely attached to it, It is and will always be your second home. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Once again, many thanks to all those who have assisted to make it possible. You are legends. You've heard far too much from me to be helping, so people, in the words of 7 Days, that is my story.
I'll just, out of that, Craig, I'll just say, well done for positioning yourself in the right place, and we're very grateful it was this place. Now I'm going to ask Marcus Wilkins to come forward to reply to Bridget and Craig on behalf of the community. Marcus is an old pupil of the school. He commenced his education here in 1945, following his 3 elder sisters, Marcia, Esme and Winna, who are all here today. Marcus followed his father Marcus and his grandfather Ben in chairing school committees. Marcus also chaired the 75th and 100th Union Committee. So really, is it any wonder I'm standing up here? I have much choice. Welcome Marcus to speak, or as he's better known to me, come up there.
Today, I speak on behalf of the school family and residents of the Pongakawa district. I appreciate the honour bestowed on me to extend thanks to you, Bridget, and your Jubilee Committee for the magnificent effort in staging this celebration. To be celebrating 125 years of quality schooling is indeed a pleasure. The planning and implementation of an event such as this, in many hours, weeks and months, gathering data, perusing school rolls, minute books and records, etc., has been undertaken by your committee and many others. The collective effort resulting in the pleasing turnout of so many who have had a close association with the school over many decades. Bridget, you have broken the cycle of Wilkins as chairperson of this committee. I had the 70th and the 100th, and I know how much effort goes into ensuring a successful event. We all value your work you have done, and on behalf of those present, I thank you most sincerely on behalf of us all. Well, now I'm on to Craig. What can I say about Craig? Craig, as principal, you have led the school ably for the past 16 and now in your 17th year. Your leadership is valued. The top job at Pongakawa School has always attracted strong individuals who have always progressed the education standards to a peak of excellence. Communication skills are a valuable asset to hold together a teaching team who all work together to assist students to reach their potential. The support you receive from the Board of Trustees, Parent Teachers Association, staff, parents and community is witness to your ability to lead by example. This makes Pongakawa School a standout. Your ability and power of persuasion have seen the addition of many exceptional facilities which offer choices to students. The Action Centre is a shining example of the powers of persuasion and persistence. Your skill in securing funding for projects is amazing and a good example of the tenacity and attitude. Your mantra is probably, "There's no such word as calm." This attitude is akin to that of Jim Savage, a past pupil of Pongakawa and Jim is here today. With a positive attitude, Jim overcame polio, illness, which robbed him of his mobility. He instigated sporting competitions for men and women with disabilities, giving them a sense of self-worth. His early foresight and vision advanced what were Paralympic Games to the Paralympic movement to what it is today. No such word as can't. Craig, you are a star. You expect excellence from your staff and students. You lead by example. You want those around you to be the best they can be. This community thanks you and your team for your leadership very much. Pongakawa has always valued the school as a pivotal point in the community, and the head teacher has always had tremendous support for projects that enhance the existing facilities. Here in 1945, with 75 pupils enrolled, the district funded and built the first school swimming pool in the entire Auckland Education Board area, from Taupo in the south to the North Cape. The spirit of those early pioneers has enabled the school to deliver excellent outcomes in the classroom and the world beyond the school gates. Here I must put a plug in for Craig's next item on his wish list, an all-weather plane service for a variety of sports. He would be delighted if any ex-pupil or president would start a fund, as happened with the Action Centre, and it would grow and grow into another first for Pongakawa. The catch cry used by Donald Trump in his bid for the United States presidency was "Make America Great Again." We don't have to do that. We're great already in Pongakawa. It gives me much pleasure to present to the school, Bridget and Mayor Garry, a copy of Jim's book, To Remember This Day. The title says it all. No such word as can't. Thank you very much indeed, everyone, for being here. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcus. And yes, I mean it's very important how we continue to pass the culture through, and so Pongakawa does continue to be great because it is a great school. Now, a warm welcome to His Worship the Mayor, Garry Weber. This, I believe, is Gary's first official visit to the Pongakawa School. Garry will be aware that the Pongakawa community really just gets on with things. We get things done here. It has had a great partnership with the Western Bay Plenty District Council over many years. The heart of that is that we're not a burden on the council. Our self-funding hall, revenue from the domain, etc. This has allowed Pongakawa to be very well supported by the council when we have special projects. One such project we're looking forward to having the Western Bay District Council involved with is our new all-weather facility. Tennis, athletics, hockey, etc. We have a recent black stick, so I'm sure we can deliver some more with the top quality hockey thing. It's on the drawing board. We look forward to the Western Bay District Council taking a big part in this project. Pongakawa School and its community welcome you to speak, Garry.
Well, firstly, thanks, James. I hear throughout the district we're so broke we can't even pay attention, so we will see. Principal Craig, Chair Bridget, Ladies and gentlemen, students, thanks for the opportunity of inviting Carol and I here today. I went to a rural school called Otamotai, which is now in the middle of urban Tauranga, and the world changes. But rural schools are as diverse as the communities they serve. The students they educate, the teachers that run them, but more importantly, the parents who provide much of the glue to keep them going. And when all of those things come together, we end up with an anchor for a community. And that's what you have got at Pongakawa. I'll come back to that word anchor later on. New Zealand has a proud record when it comes to the people who have been educated in rural schools and what they have gone to do in later life. Furthermore, the vocations that rural scholars have excelled in are as diverse as anyone can imagine. And to that end, Pongakawa School is no exception. Just look around and listen to the stories you've been hearing today. And if you've got time, go through the old hall where there's some stories around there. Look and listen to the stories of men and women who have passed through these hallowed grounds and what success they have enjoyed in life. In talking about success, I'm not talking about financial gain. I'm talking about contribution to community and society as the real measure of success. And it's those values of service to others that abounds in rural schools. And it was interesting as I walked through the hall to see the last line on your school song, enter to learn, go forth to serve. Those are the heart and soul of rural New Zealand, and they're the guts of what make us a great nation. Since its beginnings in 1892, and I'll digress here, Mrs. P, I'm sorry, but one thing I've learned in politics, when you've got the majority, you've won. I like the lectern as well. First thing I looked at when I came here to make sure there was one. But going back, since its beginnings in 1892, when Pongakawa was an isolated community, the school has been the anchor point for that community. Pongakawa School predates the Pongakawa station by about 36 years. The railroad, which opened up much of the area in 1928, enabled mail and produce to move quicker than before and opened up a whole new world to this community. I was hoping there would be some more younger students here today, but there's some young at heart over here who I'm sure will go with the flow. So to those young students, just imagine texting your mates right now and having to wait 6 weeks for an answer. That's what it was like in 1892. You never, as a school kid here, went to a supermarket, Bay Fair, or Fashion Island. And Auckland was just something you might have studied in social studies and never dreamed of ever getting anywhere near it. But back to the school being the anchor of the community. Just by being here, it was the social point where the community met to discuss the highs and lows, what they were wanting to do in the future. It was the place where the community leaders met to plot the community's future, like the current ones, making noises about all-purpose ground. So fast forward to now, as I just did, where the communities will continue. This school is still the anchor of the community. And by chance, Carol and I were at the Balance Farmer of the Year Awards last night for the Bay of Plenty. And I'd spent Thursday afternoon and Friday in Rotorua talking about some of the implications that Nick Smith is putting on fresh water in New Zealand. And believe me, the gap between urban and rural New Zealand is not getting closer over time. But it's the beacons like this school and Oropi and a few others that we have that makes rural New Zealand still the heart and soul of New Zealand. We are an agricultural economy, we're a horticultural economy, and that will not change. What does tend to change is small schools and small halls when the community heart is not there. And you're fortunate that you have got a heart here. So, it's up to the parents and the students that you've got coming through to make sure that tomorrow's students get as well-rounded education as those who've gone before got. Because that urban-rural divide, we've got to bridge that. And it won't be easy, but with beacons like this to hold up to the rest of New Zealand on what you can do when a community gets its arse in the gear. And I don't apologise for the language because that's what we're all about. And this community has done it. And so it's with great pleasure that I've been invited here today. And I hope you take time to pat yourselves on the back because you've done a great job to get yourselves to where you are. And thank you very much.
Great, thank you very much, Gary, and we really do appreciate having you here. And the content of what you spoke about, you firmly have a grasp of what Pongakawa is about in a very short space of time. So thank you for that. Right. First of all, thanks to everyone who spoke today. It's been fantastic. I was thinking last night, how do I attempt to summarise what's happened in 125 years at Pongakawa? Well, I won't start, don't worry. Don't worry, I won't. Just take me, I'll be talking till late tonight, so we won't go there. So, Pongakawa School, to an outsider, would look like any other school. Great buildings, great facilities. Like the oaks at the front of the school. Great buildings will mean nothing if they have no foundation. Large trees are nothing without a strong base and roots. The foundation and the roots of the school are the community standing to support the children and the staff of Pongakawa. Always passing on the Pongakawa culture. What it means to be here at Pongakawa School. Well done, Pongakawa, on 125 years. Good luck for the next 125 years. And may lots more children enter to learn and go forth to serve. Okay, that concludes the formalities, speakers. We have the cakes to be cut. The plan was to those who had a part to do with the school, or they were pupils and who are in their 90th year or about to become 90, come up and cut the cake, and that's what all these wonderful ladies are up here. And then I thought, my old mate Woody Whitmore, he's somewhere around, and I'm not sure whether he's here, but I know he's 90 and he was on the PTA, and I'm thinking, I don't know about you guys, but if you're 90 or around about that and you've made the effort to get to this do, I think you need to have the opportunity to come and cut the cake. So anybody else out there who's at that age or around about, you're welcome to come forward. So those who like to come forward, and anybody else that wants to join.
Here we go.
So anybody else, don't be shy. Now, look at these fantastic cakes, and Tammy Marsh did these, so they're a real, it's almost a shame to cut them really, but that's what they're made for. Plenty of knives, don't be shy.
Just zoom out a bit. Just a little bit.
Take running away from them, was it?
Right, it's we do have just one more formality, and it just really, this does give me a huge amount of pleasure. For those of you who want to, we're going to plant a tree to celebrate 125 years. That'll be a Pupil. The last one we planted 100 years was a Pupil. And to plant this tree, we're going to get Cedric Blameyes to do it. And for those of you who know Cedric, he's just been absolutely unbelievable in recording history of the district and the school, etc. So, you know, I'm just absolutely delighted, as the committee are, that Cedric now becomes a permanent part of the history. He's not going under the tree, but he's going. Everyone wants to move out there, and then basically this is the conclusion of the formalities. So thank you very much, and for those of you who see tonight, enjoy yourselves. So the tree planting's just out through this back door, through here. All the side doors, but it's going to be one here.
Down there.